Let's talk about some mental toughness challenges. And there's no better story to illustrate challenges that you're going to face in terms of mental toughness in your sport or performing than the Odyssey. And maybe you've never read the Odyssey or heard the story, or maybe you did. Maybe you studied it in school. But big picture, it's a ancient Greek story. A little side note: I connect to some ancient Greek mythology and stories and poems. I'm a little bit of a nerd on that side, but the story is about Odysseus. He's returning from the Trojan War. Maybe you've seen or heard of the movie Troy. So he's returning from the Trojan War, and by the wrath of Poseidon, by the wrath of the gods, basically Poseidon gets pissed off and he struggles at sea for 10 years, going from place to place, trying to get back to his wife. So a 10-year journey to try to get back home after a war. That's the big picture. And in regards to mental toughness, he faces all sorts of different challenges along the way. Now, this is not to say that you're going to be cursed by the gods for 10 years or anything like that, but it's a story about overcoming. It's a story about persistence. It's a story about getting to the thing that you desire most. For him, it was his wife. For you, if you're sport, what is the thing that you desire most? Because you're going to face challenges. So some of the challenges that Odysseus faced: he tries to come back from the war. Poseidon gets pissed off, messes with the sea, creates all these sorts of storms, and he ends up going from place to place, island to island. One place that he goes is the land of the Cyclops. The Cyclopses are Poseidon's sons, right? And he goes to the land of the Cyclops, and the Cyclopses literally eat humans. They eat men, and they get sucked into the cage, or not the cage, the cave of the Cyclopses. And him and his crew that he was sailing with, get sucked in there. And he has to devise a plan to get out of this cave, or else he's going to end up as food. So he ends up getting some meat and getting the Cyclops drunk, and one thing leads to another. And he eventually sneaks out pretending to be sheep with his crew. And then as his ship is leaving the island and the Cyclops finally realizes that they're getting away, he yells back, basically taunting the Cyclops that he's gotten away. And the Cyclops picks up a huge boulder and throws it back to him. So there's a lesson in there, in a sense, that don't get too cocky, don't get too arrogant, don't taunt once you do have some success, because you're never accomplished. You're never at the end. He got to his next step. Odysseus got to his next step, which is to leave the island of the Cyclops. And he taunted the Cyclops, and he was happy that he finally got away. But it still came back around to him. The Cyclops threw a boulder, and his ship started coming back to the land. Another little story in the Odyssey is that after 10 years journeying, he finally gets back home, and he realizes that, in the poem they call them suitors, but basically the people that lived in his town that were closest to him are trying to marry his wife, or trying to get into his kingdom, trying to get into his wealth, taking advantage of his land, of his castle, of his possessions. And Odysseus has to come back and disguise himself to see, who's trustworthy and who's not trustworthy. But again, this all relates back to mental toughness, in a sense that you don't know who's around you that you can really trust. So Odysseus went away. He was gone for 10 years, over 10 years, thinking that, the suitors that were near him, that were close to him, had his best interest at heart. But he had to come to the realization that there were few that he could trust, and that were honest and were honorable. And there were few. Think about yourself. There's some people that are around you that you think you can trust, that you think have your best interests at heart, but they really don't. They are more self-serving. They are more interested in themselves. They are more interested in their own well-being, not necessarily the well-being of you. That's a harsh reality that a lot of us have to face. That doesn't mean all people out there are bad, but it's a harsh reality in a sense that if you want to develop this mental toughness, there are people that are going to disguise themselves as being your friend, teammates, friendly, that really aren't. When they go behind your back, those are the worst kind of people that claim to be, that disguise themselves to be serving your best interest, but they really aren't. So be on the lookout for those people. The haters, the people that, straight up will tell you and be upfront with you and let it be known that they don't care for you or they don't want to help you. Those are the best because you can just push them to the side. It's the people that disguise themselves. And that takes some real mental toughness. So, there's a ton of stories that you could jump to in the Odyssey. I recommend you go read it. It's long. Listen to it if you listen to it at school. Plenty of lessons to be learned, but there's a couple in there that I just wanted to share with you. Not getting too cocky, not getting too arrogant, because there's always another step. And watch out for those around you that disguise themselves to be your friend, your teammate, in your best interest. But as soon as you turn their back, or as soon as you turn your back, they're a completely different animal. They're a completely different person. And it takes real mental toughness not to get too arrogant, not to be too trusting of those people, and to figure out who those suitors who doesn't have your best interest is. So 2 challenges on mental toughness. I hope you guys enjoy this comparison to the Odyssey. Like I said, I geek out. I'm a little bit of a nerd when it comes to ancient Greek movies, literature, all that good stuff. But anyways, appreciate you guys. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. And we will see you on the next one.